Always a treat to get to watch these two players. A best of 5 qualifying match for the DreamHack SC2 Masters Last Chance event. $57,000 tournament. Both of these players are expected to be in that. They're both comfortably going to Katowice, the global finals this year anyway. But of course that prize money is too good to give up. So yes, a few more ESL points, maybe some extra seeding. But most importantly for these guys, that prize money. It's a big event. It's definitely one they want to be in. It's definitely one they've got their eyes on. Is in the bottom right-hand side, the blue Zerg player from NC Sports. This is Serral. Taking on the red Terran player in the top left-hand side from Team Liquid. We're going to give it up here for Clem as we start up on Lightshade for map number 1 of this best of 5. Getting this up, getting this running, and looking to see how things are going to go. I'm very excited for this. Guys, if you end up watching this one on YouTube, as I've not done a lot of YouTube shoutouts lately, I'll take a chance to put one in right now. If you have watching this on YouTube, maybe take the chance to enter the comments and leave a comment down below. Or leave a like on the video, or maybe subscribe to the channel as well, as we try and push the sub counter up a little bit again. Alrighty, guys, this is it. Serral and Clem. I mean, this was the match we expected to have in this upper bracket qualifying match. As that Barrack's going to be finishing here in just a few moments. Reaper is on the way. And just going to be having the hatch going on to the natural here from Serral. So nothing crazy yet. Looks like we get Serral's map pick for map number 1. I know Serral was the highest seed, so he got to pick whether he was picking first or second. I imagine he picked first, and he picked Lightshade after vetoing first. So, I mean, pretty typical vetoes, I'd imagine. Obviously, I don't actually know the map order, so just speculating a bit. But I imagine if Lightshade's in, Clem probably vetoed Jagannatha. Serral probably vetoed Submarine, if not Oxide. And then we'll probably see something like Lightshade into Oxide, into maybe Pillars of Gold. No, maybe Romanticide map 3 or Death Aura. Then probably Pillars of Gold 4th and Death Aura / Romanticide 5th, depending on what Serral picks as map 3. I think is maybe the most questionable one. As we do get ourselves Link Speed on the way already from Serral, and the first Reaper arriving from Clem, so looking to put a bit of pressure onto the map here in these early few moments. A couple of Lings going to get pushed away, and Drone's going to take a few shots as well. And he very nearly gets a drone, but of course, very nearly is still not a kill, and that's all Serral really cares about, and he knows he can micro his units to the maximum, and he's already pulled this back again. So it may be a bit more damage than you would have liked, because now you've got to be very cautious with it. He's going to go, Clem, try to get the creep tumor, but the Reaper low HP, the Lings got out in front, blocked that Reaper from getting onto the tumor, and so Serral can put his tumor down without any delay at all. So good start for Serral, defensively speaking, against this Reaper. As now our Reaper hangs out over on the right-hand side. Queen does get over here and pushes that Reaper back just a little bit with the starport on the way in the main base. Looking around, of course, Clem has been mixing up a fair amount in TVZ, and on this map, I think most notably the biggest mix-up he made, I say recently, but just in general. Recently is kind of a big word to use because it was kind of a month or two ago now, right, in the DreamHack Masters event where he beat Reynor. He mech'd on this map, so is that something he's going to pull out here? Not necessarily, but if he does want to mech, not the worst map in the map pool to do it on, especially because it is typically very good for Zerg when you play Bio. I don't think it's typically the best mech map out there, but yeah, I mean, if it's so good for Zerg and, you know, versus Bio, then maybe you just go for it anyway, as these early Lings are doing some good damage. 3 SCVs go down, and in that chaos, he also lost the Reaper to the Queens at the front, so Reaper went down, he loses a few SCVs, and Serral getting a lot done with very little. That was 4 Lings to get 3 SCVs here early on, so that's fantastic. So that's a really fantastic start. Now our Hellions join back up together down on the bottom side. I'm just going to be having Banshee, Cloak, all of this coming through. The Banelin Nest dropping in from Serral on the front of the natural expansion. A few Hellions continue around to the right-hand side of this here. We do see our Marine is going to go and tag this Overlord. So Overlord taking a bit of damage, Ovi. Going to continue to take some hits. He's going to fly back over the factory starport, etc. with the Banshee about to be done. And this factory's reactor is going to be going up here as well, as a Banshee still on the way out. So second Banshee coming through against him. Cloak, all the good stuff right now. Cloak Banshee is not a bad one to have on this map, and maybe a good way to maintain some pressure, and to, you know, maybe if you can get like a good amount of work, as you can just then do further damage, you can begin to snowball it in your favor on a map that's unfavorable. It's also a shorter map, so definitely one you maybe want to be aware of the possibility of roaches. Is Serral likely to do that on one of the more Zerg favored maps in game number 1? Probably not, but the Banshee really does just cover everything, right? Yes, it keeps you safe, but it also just gives you a lot of aggressive momentum as well. Good harassment opportunities, so you really do just have choices here. As the Queens come around, the Banshee gets pushed away. A couple of engineering bays, a couple of barracks on the way through. Extra gases onto the natural as well. It's just going to go over toward the Nats. So they're going to get set up as engineering bays and barracks still coming up. The stim pack is going to be finishing fairly soon. And just going to have our Banshee of Clem continue now down to the bottom side of the map. Two Banshees cloak up together, but the Overseer's nearby. So Serral with a really good catch. And that's going to be a Banshee down already. So that's a shame for Clem. Banshee never got to really see much action at all, and well, yeah, hasn't found a single drone kill yet. So Clem is really stumbling in this early game, not finding the damage that he wants. You know, he's absolutely hoping to find way more with pretty much anything so far. The fact he lost a few SCVs as well was not great. I mean, I guess the Banshees have been doing okay, picking off some creep teamers, but that really is about it. Now you get a Balin over here too, as rocks start to be picked away at, making more space to run into positions, making this high ground position a little bit weaker for the Terran player to try and control. As you do have the 1-1 and the combat shields on the way through, so Clem obviously up in his way toward the bio forces, and now just basically uses this one Banshee as somewhat creep management, because what else can you really do with the Banshee? One Banshee into mineral line, a couple of shots onto drones. Serral's very good, he's going to pull drones away in plenty of time. Stuff like this though, you can get creep tumors. I think it's pretty much the best role the Banshee can fill at the moment, as Helene's on the other side are going to come down too. There's a creep tumor there that he should get rid of. Anything to try and slow down the creep is only going to help these kind of pushes. And as Serral takes the bottom side of the map for the 4th base, it does give Clem this high ground position to work with here. Serral's immediately sending a few Lings around the side and says, well, let's counterattack. Helene's come in, some Bane's getting hit. Lings is going to run straight in. Clem, Marines on the depots. Not enough Marines to wall off, and that means Lings are in the mineral lines, and Clem's going to start taking some serious damage. He's distracted, so he's not continuing the attack on the other side. Now he scans, now he gets some creep. But this is so far 14 SCVs killed and counting, and the 3rd base is still under attack with a lot of Lings there. Now Clem's going to move forward a little further, but of course there are Banelings here with speed, and so Serral should be able to turn this back. And yes, there's an upgrade deficit for Serral, but the counterattack buying him time, and just the fact there's going to be no reinforcements here really for Clem means that the upgrade deficit will probably not come into play. Serral maybe wanting to morph these Lings into Banes and then hit this 3rd base again. He's just going to keep up the pressure right now as the Marines come through, and just going to try and draw units back toward Hellbats and tanks, trying to cause an inefficient trade on this bottom side, and just trying to keep the creep spread pinned back over here as well. As now another tank, Marines and Hellbats continue to push down the south. Marine out the front, a couple of Banelings being eaten up already. Now stemming over the right side. Hellbat eats a couple of Baneling shots. These Lings run in. They did not morph into Banes, so they will run in. We'll keep an eye on that run by as honestly Clem picking some good fights over here. It's just he is playing from a bit behind. He didn't start 2-2 upgrades. He has the armory, but not getting 2-2 means that Serral's now on his way to an upgrade lead in what was an upgrade deficit for Serral. It was one of the things Clem had in his advantage, those upgrades. So not having that now definitely hurts a little bit. As Clem feeling desperate going down this ramp, he's just going to type out GG. I think he knows the onslaught of Lings across the map, just from the early stages, just did way too much. They added up to be way too much damage for him to keep on absorbing, and that leads you to that GG moment. Clem taps out and Serral leads. We start in the top right-hand corner with the blue Zerg player. Give it up if you're cheering on from ENCE Esports. This is Serral. Now down in the bottom left-hand side, our red Terran player, of course, finds himself down a map from Team Liquid. We have got Clem. Never really got rolling in that first game, and I feel like at this level, momentum is such a big deal. And, just those first few Lings, getting a few SCVs, little things like that, when it comes to Clem and Serral, can completely offset everything else, and you just get an entire game of stuff like this, where all of a sudden, it feels like Serral just completely dominates. You add on those few SCV kills into an extra run by, plus the Banshee going down and not doing much, and it really does just become a scenario where Clem looks hopeless in game number 1. But you go into a game 2 now, it's a fresh slate, and I would be extremely surprised to see Clem just fall apart in a similar manner. Absolutely, I think you come out of that game, you say, right, well, this went wrong in a couple of ways. reset, get into game 2. It's, like I say, a fresh slate, a clean slate, and from there you can write a different game. And we see it all the time, I think, is kind of what, you know, the most notable thing is that this sort of stuff happens a lot. And then you kind of, you're like, oh my god, Clem, how's he ever going to win this? But then oftentimes you do just find that next game is just so good for you. You know, obviously the map a little bit better for Clem here as well. That will help some of his mid game out too. So, you know, a few different factors to keep in mind. It's just, all I'm trying to say is don't take that first game and just be like, oh my god, this series is going to be Serral. I wouldn't make that call just yet, at least. So actually just looking back at Clem and Serral's history this year. They have played a lot this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times this year. Clem won the opening series they played in the year. He was down 0-2 against Serral in the final of a Red Bull Zelnaga Finest event. Came back 3 games in a row to win it out. Lost in 5 games in DreamHack Summer in the winner bracket final. And went out to Reino in the lower bracket. Lost in the DOU Cup, if you guys remember that. Back on the... something we casted during the summer as well. He won that game in the War Chest Team League, but lost a game in the playoffs. And then they traded out series in DreamHack Opens again, or DreamHack Masters again, where Clem won against Serral in fall. Serral got his revenge the week after in the ESL Open Cup finals. Serral won their first matchup in the winner bracket of Winter, but then Clem got revenge in the lower bracket. So I think what's really important to know is that these guys are always trading series in very close ways. You know, 3-2, 2-3, 1-2, a couple of 1-0s and best of ones, obviously, then 3-2, 1-3, 2-3, 3-1. So there's only really been 2 matches out of those 9. Okay, let's say 2 matches out of the 7 that have been best of 3 or more that haven't gone to the ace match. So more times than not, a lot more times than not, you see these 2 really go in the distance and go into every game necessary in the series because they have been that well matched this year. Now, this is a very different opening from Serral, and no surprise to mix in some roaches here on Oxide. It is a map where the Terran typically enjoys the mid game. These rocks, these ledges, positions you can take. Difficult to go different ways with expansions. If you take a base up here, you don't really have a next base along. So you kind of are forced to expand this direction eventually. And then obviously the Terran can control that space, choke points, etc. So going roaches early and stuff like that works wonderfully, but look at Clem. Marauders, concussive shells. If this is a roach attack, Serral is walking right into Clem's trap. He's very ready for Serral to go a bit aggressive against him. And of course, behind this, maybe Serral does some damage early, transitions, drones, but probably does go 1-1 missiles and into a big roach attack on the follow-up. That's the very popular way to play on Oxide. I don't even know if you're going to get that chance with this concussive shells and Marauders coming through. This Viking's going to push this Overlord away. There's no armory yet, as I had the production tab open, but then I look back in... I had the structures tab open, though, sorry, and I reopened the production tab to see the armory just started. I was just checking for the gas to see if you had enough for one. Obviously, you're building Marauders and Hellions, and so typically you're going to go Hellbats. Now, this should be good against what Serral is doing. When this gets a bit worrisome is if this army... Okay, now he knows about the roaches. So I was going to say, it gets worrisome if these roaches get across the map without Clem knowing. Because then Clem can try and trade for a base and Serral's reinforcements might clean up, while Serral can do a lot of damage over here and perhaps just win the game. Is Clem actually going to go for this? He's actually going to go across the map while Serral is going to move down. Oh, that is interesting. I was not expecting him to play like this. Now he's going to turn back. And he knew about the roaches, so I don't know what the plan is exactly. Hellions are kind of in a position to catch Zerglings. Of course, you're going to have to be careful with the micro. He gets 2 roaches at the front with the Marauders. Remember, these Hellions can morph into Hellbats too, so they're way more useful than usual when it comes to fighting roaches, because the Hellbats just give you such a good buffer in front line. They can be very useful compared to usual. But of course, you might want to keep them as Hellions, keep the speed, and be able to pull them back against the Lings. And also, now that the roaches are gone, Hellions are not bad against Ravagers if you get the lineup. Viking goes down, the Marauders have to lift. A few more Ravagers showing up. Clem has to be a little careful right now, dropping the Marauders back down. This will be the problem with Marauders once it's Ravagers. They don't really do that well against Ravagers because they're not armored, so the Marauders don't get that bonus damage like they do versus Roaches. 4 SCVs down. Serral is going to continue through. 48 to 60 in army supply, making more Lings. As the Hellion count goes down, that's probably where Clem is going to fall into a lot of trouble, because these Hellions are meant to be the ones to clean up these Lings, but now he's not going to have any other Hellions. And Clem is going to type out GG. Serral takes a quick 2-0 lead. Okay, now I think you worry about Clem a little bit in this series. Now you maybe start saying, oh my god, Serral is just all over him. Now I think Serral really is in a very scary... It will be an uphill battle if you're going to come back from an 0-2 deficit when the guy with the 2-0 lead is as good as the blue Zerg in the top left from NC Sports, Serral. Bottom right, our red Terran player from Team Liquid. This is Clem. Truly believed he could just hold with the amount of units he had. I really feel like there was some... I feel like he must have had a misread on what was happening, though. Because I feel like even if you just hide behind your wall off and you morph the Hellions into Hellbats, you probably have a better time there just holding this off and shutting this down. Just felt as though he was kind of, like I say, expecting something else, expecting it to work differently than it did. It started well. He got some roaches for free. The Hellions were picking up some of the reinforcements. Then he joined everything up together. I like that part. He just couldn't get any damage output on the Ravagers. And then extra Ravagers came in from the sun, and I feel like that kind of shocked him. And suddenly he was retreating to a wall off that wasn't ready, into a bunker that wasn't up, and to a setup where he still, as he loses Hellions, had no way to really deal with Lings and then the Ravagers as well. CV will scout, of course, just wants to make sure Serral is not going for a pull first or anything. Make sure you get that information early so you know what you can do and what you cannot do with the initial Reaper in the early stages of the game. He sees the hatchery first. He's going to pull out over here. Now, a lot of Zergs do like to take this base as their third. But Serral is just not going to play those games. He's actually going to take the hatchery over here. So this is very much so a European third base to take this one out the front. The Koreans still like to take this base up on the top side. But maybe Serral just knows Clem's likely going to SCV block to force him to take this one instead. And so he already moves over to that one. I gotta say, that's credit to Serral. He's not going to get delayed at all taking that third hatch. Now again, it's not the better third hatch. Usually this one is great because you can just sit out the front and defend, and it's very difficult for the Hellions to get anywhere useful to deny creep or so. Reaper kind of wants to make that dive, but the Lings are forward at the right time to make sure the Reaper cannot pick off the creep tumor. Nicely done. Zergland speed's about halfway through as we have our command center in the main base. That's on the way down. Factory's going to lift up and go to the reactor. Another barracks on the way. And Clem is going to switch it up quite dramatically from what we've been seeing so far. A second rack so soon. After a third CC, there's going to be seen a little bit more kind of bio focus. That kind of 3cc 2-1-1 build has become very popular lately. It's had a lot of success. Sometimes you can even mix some Hellbats into it to be a little bit more aggressive if that's what you're looking for. Serral's just going to play very safe. Overlord speed on the way so you can get the scout and information into the main, into the natural very early on. Really figure out just exactly what's happening early. Yeah, you're just not going to really be denied any information here. So you come in, 30cc is the first part of the scout. You see the starport timing, so now you know it's double racks, and you'll see the double racks for good measure as well. Confirming Stimpak's already on the way, and you even get to see the reactor build on the factory. So you really do see everything here as Serral. That's what you pay the 100 gas for the Overlord speed for. Full scout and information. Nothing Clem can really do to surprise him here. And so yeah, Clem just has to kind of play an honest game for the moment. Now, yeah, as this reactor finishes on the factory, let's see the starport does indeed swap over to that. Like I say, sometimes you see this kind of one medevac double reactor Hellion play, and then you build an armory up and you can morph in Hellbats, and then you've got Hellbats and 16 Marines that can be very scary. That's not going to be the case here. It is just 2 medevacs, so it will just be this kind of 1 minute delayed 2-1-1 build, and it's delayed because you have such a fast 3cc anyway. So obviously the other weakness to this is the fact that these Hellions, though, are not going to be having the very high count. So you've only got 2 Hellions initially. You don't have a lot of creep spread to now with that. So the creep initially is going to move out very far. And back in the day, the 2-on-1 builds used to be very good at clearing up creep, and they're not bad at it now. It's just Zergs are very good at defending it and this kind of stuff, and so if they've got the right amount of units, they can hold their creep spread much more easily. You don't have to sacrifice creep as a way to buy time, and that means you can keep the creep spread out on the map, which is only going to make, you know, your position in this game or in these games that much better, basically. Marines unload in the center, and we do see an overload already being pushed away. Everything joins up. A couple Banes will move over on the left-hand side. Carapace upgrade coming in on the Evolution Chamber as well. Marines, Medivacs, all the way around the far left. Picks off a Creep Tumor already. Yeah, I mean, like you see, like I said, right? You get one Creep Tumor here. Very minimal kind of damage being done. When Serral has the numbers to defend against this initially. Sorry, I'm watching Reno meme around in Twitch chat and almost wanted to say Reno instead of Serral there for a second. Alright, a couple tumors going down, and again, just keeping active with these Marines. And Serral just goes straight to Lingbane Hydra, 1-1 upgrades. Playing Carapace first against Marine heavy style. Carapace can work really well because you can take a lot of hits off these Marines, so it's nice to have the extra bit of tanking available for that to help you out. Let's take rocks down in the center and over to the left-hand side. So a few sets of rocks are already dropping down. Marines and Marines are going to get across. The Overlord's starting to pull away to the upper side. But the Lings trying to figure out where exactly they want to be. They're going to start jumping in on top of some of these Marines. And an extra round of Ling Bane coming through. The Baneling speed about to finish up from Serral. Everything from Serral pretty much ready to jump in on top of Clem's army. Got Ling Bane from the right side as well. Clem is in a lot of trouble here. He's got to lift up and get out of there, which means he's going to abandon the siege tank. So Clem's push just gets pushed back in an instant. And Serral just leaps on that from all directions, and that's the problem. You come in from all angles, and you can't just have tanks focusing down the Banes and so on. So yeah, Clem not much success there. Just, yeah, he's on his way to his armory. He will start a 4th command center as well. He did initially go to 5 racks, but I think now you've already lost the siege tank count. Sorry, he went to 8 racks is what I meant to say. He's already gone up to 8 racks, but I think because he just lost the siege tanks in the center, he says, well, can't really make the 8 racks push work continuously here. So he does start the 4th command center instead and looks towards a transition from what was otherwise going to be a continued push, continue to be aggressive kind of build from him. Marines coming forward, and a couple of Crypt Teamers go down. Marines load back into Medivacs, pulling back away to the right side. Now a bit more Marine tank going to come around. Here comes the next round from Clem. Clem, you know what would be really great? A little upgrade on the tech lab for barracks that gives your Marines extra HP. It's called Combat Shields. That would go a long way to helping out right now. Yep, there we go. Okay. Clem did remember Combat Shields as a thing. Now you kind of need it. And it's kind of brutal because I feel like Clem shouldn't be out on the map without Combat Shields right now. You know, he's getting some creep, and yes, he's kind of in this kind of choked up area, but if Serral just engages from 2 sides again, I mean, think about what Combat Shields is missing here, basically. Basically, each of these Marines is missing 10 HP. That's something like, I think there's 50 plus Marines here. You're missing 500 health in this army because that Combat Shield upgrade isn't ready for another 40 seconds. I mean, Clem has to know there's going to be units from the right side as well, and that's why he's pre-splitting to the right. There is going to be a little bit of a Ling run by on the left side here. Some reinforcements pull and deal with this. The Lings will just pull back. Serral even started to pull back some of the damaged Lings. That was kind of ridiculous initially. As on the right side, extra Banelings continue to morph in. We do have Marines still pushing forward. Tank's going to get sieged up, and here we go. Lingbane Hydra starting to push on forward. The Marines going to split back. They don't need to. There's no army from the right-hand side. I didn't like that from Serral. I would have liked it if he had an army from the right as well, but nothing from the right-hand side, and, well, then you just don't really do anything. You're just giving up units. The bio can just sit there and deal so much damage. Now these units want to show up, but, I mean, extra reinforcements just got here from Clem as well. I mean, these units are now starting to shut down reinforcements, but that feels like it's a little bit too late. Here we go. Let's see what we get as we have these Banes moving through. Clem continues to split. Not really any splash damage left from Serral, and that means Clem might just be able to keep pushing on forward. Some extra links showing up. A couple Banes already going down. He is losing SCVs to a counter-attack. 6 workers have fallen. But obviously this attack can continue at any moment, so let's keep our eyes on it. There are a lot of Banes in production, 19 of them. I'm still not sure if that's necessarily enough right away. We do have reinforcements about to arrive to set this up into an even stronger position, including a new siege tank. Serral's going to pull the trigger just before these units get here. But look how far the creep is pushed back. There's no creep here at all to work with. And that gives Clem a lot of space to pull back, tight, split in a very comfortable manner. Now the Ling's trying to come through and just going to be having the Queens and everything else wanting to come in here. The Baneling just about manages to get taken down before it connects big time. He gets rid of the siege tank though. I mean, Clem can keep pushing because he has. His target fire on the Banelings is good so far. He can keep pushing because of the lack of creep, because he can always fall back to no creep spread, and then you do very well. Lings run into the mineral line. This deeper wall still busted down on the left-hand side, so Clem has to send units to deal with that. Another hit to his economy as Serral tries to buy time. Well, those few Banelings on their own obviously do not do much, and a couple more rolling forward. They're not going to do much either. So Serral is bleeding out the Banelings, which he needs to rely on. 13 on the map with a few more in production. Right now, Marines have eaten up like 5-6 Banes in a row. They've just done nothing but 1 or 2 connections. Marines and Marauders hide behind the tanks, letting them do splash damage, letting them take some shots. And now we're going to see Clem continue to push on forward here. He's got the numbers to come on through. The Bane's starting to go down. And Serral is got, what, like 1 Baneling left, then 5 more morphing. Will not be enough. Clem's going to close it out. GG. Clem shuts it down, and he will get on the scoreboard here, and he will make a series out of this best of 5. Game number 4, and we have got ourselves a series on our hands. In the top left-hand side, our Blue Zerg player from Ents Esports. This is Serral. Bottom right-hand side, our Red Terran player from Team Liquid is Clem, bringing it back. It was a bit of a weird game. So he went 8 racks, he lost a fight, decided to expand instead of 8 racks. Kind of had late combat shields, didn't end up fighting without it. And I think the big part of it was when Serral had so many units on the right side and they did nothing as he engaged in from the left. And that was just a donation of like 10 to 20 supply. And that is the fine edge of, you know, that's just the fine edge of TVZ at this level. You can't just give up 10, 20 supply in a fight where you're also missing units on the right side, you know? Clem lost nothing, Serral lost a chunk of stuff, and that just gives Clem the fights to keep on pushing forward. And from that point on, you know, any of the fights from Serral, they was close still, right? Because Clem, you know, he's losing tanks, he doesn't maintain a lot of splash damage in those fights. He's moments away at any point from kind of just losing out if he lets a couple Banes connect, but he worked his position perfectly. He pushed back the creep spread. He didn't overcommit forward at any point. He soaked the Banes the way he needed to, and eventually he won it out against a Serral who just, like I say, didn't have enough and then started trading worse and worse because he lost that little bit initially. Well played by Clem. Made a couple mistakes though, like I say. I definitely think that combat shield should have been on the way a little bit sooner. I was surprised to see that being such a late addition. And while it didn't cost him in that last game, it is something that can cost you in future games. So it's something to keep in mind, because you don't want to make that mistake again. You know, you don't want to now lose this game because your combat shields was half a minute late and you take a major fight without it, and it would have made the difference, right? Ling's coming in, and the Reaper backs away. That's going to be seeing the Queen pressing forward, and the Reaper just going to stay at range for the moment as the Creep Tumor going down. And this natural grenade goes down on it. He is going to get the Creep Tumor. First time in the series that Clem even got close. I mean, he actually gets it this time around. In previous games, Serral has been perfect at defending that. This time, not so much. And that's the early Creep Tumor kill that slows down that creep spread. He already got forced away from this third hatch over to this third hatch. So he's already been forced into a hatchery that he maybe didn't want to take. As we now have got the Reaper just dancing around looking for more. Going to get a Zergling kill. Shouldn't be able to get the Creep Tumor, of course, but penciling and just keeping active at the front. Keeping an eye on things. Is back at home. It is once again 3cc into the second rack, so pretty much a carbon copy of the first game that we just saw. The last game we just saw, the first game where we saw 3cc. So yeah, a carbon copy repeat of game number 3. And now we get ourselves on from here. Even Serral going for the Overlord speed, right? So that's very similar too. So he'll have that overload speed to scout in. Once again, he'll be scouting to basically be told, oh, you've gone for a quick 3 bases, and you're going to go for Marines after it. So we'll see what Serral... I don't think Serral's initial setup really needs adjusting. I think that part of this is fine. Queen's coming across, pushing the couple of Hellions around. We do just have the Marines at the front. Actually going to grab an Overlord. I'm not sure what this Overlord from Serral was. I mean, I guess he's going to use an Overlord speed to scout, right? So he's trying to scout around as much as possible, but... Oh, gets an active team with the Hellions as well. Now the Lings, though, coming in from the other side. Remember, these are only 2 Hellions. They're going to get away. The active teams are really important in this game more than others because, again, it's only 2 Hellions, right? So by killing off, what, 2 creep tumors at this stage? You've really slowed down that creep a little bit more, and it was one of the things that Serral was going to get away with a lot in the last game. So yeah, we kind of move on with that now as we do have Lings around the right side. A couple of Hellions do slot themselves in behind the mineral line. They're about to be done. Baneling Nest is about to finish. Stim Pack about to complete. Both players getting set up nicely now. It is important to note this time Serral really is going to prioritize the lair tech over the upgrades. No evolution chambers early. Nice quick lair, so Baneling speed will be important here. And the Spire is likely to come down very early. And we've not really seen Mutalisks at all just yet, right? That first game on Lightshade never really came down to Mutas or anything, right? Clem lost that game just fighting on in. We saw Hydras just then in the last game as well, and obviously game 2 was very Roach Ravager aggression focused, so yeah, switching it up. And obviously one of the scary things about playing Serral is he will just bring different styles game after game after game. You know, even if he leads into a similar style, it's off such a different opening. You know, he never really plays the same thing twice. So it keeps you guessing. It's very hard to sort of blindly say, right, I think I'm going to do this, or this worked well last time, let's try and do it again, and maybe I can, you know, punish this or punish that. Because Serral's setup is so different each time, it's then very hard to kind of make a move like that and be like, oh, right, so last game he was open here. And it really disguises any weaknesses Serral might have. Not saying he's got many weaknesses, but, you know, if he was weak to a certain push that Clem could identify last game, again, now you just can't really utilize that information. So it's nice. It's one of the strong parts about all of these top level players, that they're able to mix it up so much in their builds, in the ways that they play. It's definitely been one of the big strengths of Serral as of late. And Vac is going to unload the main as we have the other Marines on the right hand side. So I'm keeping this very kind of drop focus for the moment. He's going to find this 4th hatch building with the Queens. Oh, not quite protected by much. Now some Banes come forward though, and that is going to be a defense. Clem is turning and fighting Banes, and yep, okay, he'll get most of them. He obviously lost a few Marines there, but getting rid of every Baneling that he can. Obviously, Banelings are the investment that you have to make right now. They're going to be your gas going into defense rather than going into offense with the Mutalisks. You know, every 4 Banes, it's 1 less Muta. Show up, and Clem not really prepared for the early Mutas, mind you. No defense on this 3rd base. 7 SCVs already going down, so the Muta's doing a great job, and I would say this early Spire is already kind of paying for itself. 9 SCVs killed. Now the Mutas dive into the main, so Clem is still going to be running around ragged, trying to figure a way out to fight this. Obviously, while you're doing this, your drops are less effective because you're not able to pay attention to them. You're not able to, you know, fully focus, lift them up when they're in trouble. So nice little timing here from Serral, showing up with the Mutas when Clem wasn't ready. Really get some value out of this now. Oh, gonna eat a Wintermine shot though, and that's at least goodbye to one of the Mutalisks there, so a little bit of a shame. Just the one Mutalist so far. Now, of course, Clem's advantage in this game, or one of the advantages he has, is going to be the upgrades. His upgrades are much sooner because Serral commits to the lair and the Mutalisks early. He has to sacrifice upgrades to do that. So, Clem right now, 1-1 against 0-0. More importantly, a little bit later on, he'll have 2-2 against 1-1. And those are both timing windows in which he wants to try and take advantage of and take some good fights with. And it starts right here. As we're going to see Widowmine is actually going to get a really good connection up on the ramp. Picks off a bunch of units that were trying to move down over in that side. And now a couple of these Queens getting caught very quickly as well. So already one of these Queens picked off, and it's a good start to this fight from Clem as mutas show up. A couple Marines already starting to go down. Let's come back around the left-hand side. Another Widow Mine shot on Lings. Now the Bane's rolling in. A few of the Marines going to eat up that damage. 11 more Banelings on the way out with the 2-2 upgrades coming in from Clem as well. All of this building. As now Clem pulls out over the right-hand side. Lings and mutas are going to get ready to launch on in. They're going to find one medevac to begin with at least. That one medevac goes down. Okay, well, Serral's looking to force fights while Clem is going to have a drop on the left, a main army on the right side. Yeah, I mean, this is going to get kind of a little bit crazy. There's going to be action everywhere. These Banes actually go off on a mine, and then a couple of Banes get led away. Now these Marines return home, but there's, like I say, so much Ling Muta here. He targets down 3 Mutalists, but that was 16 Marines and now 2 medevacs. So I don't think you mind too much about a couple Mutas going down in that exchange at all. He's got extra Lings out in the center. A little bit more moving over the left-hand side. Well, it's going to be an interesting fight if Serral wants to take it, because he's going to be coming in from one angle and then a little bit on the left, but no Banes on that left-hand side, so it's not really like a super scary combo. Clem had a little bit of splash damage in the form of mines to help out. His 4 bases are well set up, and he's already on his way to a 5th command center, so Clem's ready to accept going into the very late stages here as Serral finds a opportunity to maybe get a medevac, doesn't quite grab it. Now he's going to find a chance to kill off a Thor. Full surround with the Lings. The mutas will help him with a bit of damage, and nothing really here to shut down Lings yet. He's going to target down this call-down supply depot, give the Lings an entry point, but it did slow the Lings down enough to let the bio catch up, so the Lings will not do a lot. The muta's going to have to start finding an exit path, and unfortunately for Serral, the run-by's not really working out just yet. Does get 3-3 on the way. The one thing that these run-bys are doing is it's buying time for Serral to finish 2-2, so it takes away, we talked about the importance of that upgrade timing window, and Clem trying to take advantage of it. Well, he can't take advantage of it if he has to stay back at home defending against Ling Muta that's running through his front door. You have to defend against that. You can't let him just sit on top of your production and camp units. So it does take away some of the 2-2 timing here. Now the +2 carapace is about to be done, and even this army that is out on this left-hand side is not quite what it should be. He pulled back down over here. I think Clem just wants to retreat away in general. There's not something he's seen or believes that he's seen that he's responding to. There's a Thor shot on the mutas, as Clem actually has the speed zone to help him out initially, but then the Banes get the speed zone. I mean, that was a mix of okay and not so good. I mean, it was kind of okay on either side. Don't think anyone's fist pumping and celebrating over that one. May as well dive in and need a Widow Mine as the missile turret will be repaired. He doesn't have the mutas to get rid of it. Missile turret is still holding on. Oh my god! The missile turret that just won't die. Oh, I feel like he just lost the mutalist count to properly get rid of it. The 1 or 2 mutas that went down, and then he just kept losing more. Wow, and now Clem's actually fighting this upper right side as well, so the mutas are not really around to be part of this fight. A lot of Marauders attack the front lines. The Thor now going down. There's another one that gets saved for a little bit, but there's no Banelings on the front, so the Marines sit there just pumping out damage. A little drop on the left side. Clem, for one rare opportunity, is not paying attention. Now the mutas show back up, but they take a lot of damage. The Thor here puts some shots out. He will go down. I mean, there's only so many mutas left. 10 mutas remaining on the map. It's a far fall from the once glorious muta count. There's been 20 killed in the game. And Serral on Hive Tech, 3-3, Adrenal Glands all on the way up, but look at that supply difference. Clem is leading. A big part of that is that Serral's just not done anything to deny the Terran economy. You know, you look at what SCV's killed in this game, 13. Okay, Clem's not killed many drones, but he's kept a good work account and traded well. And that's the issue. You're meant to be out there dealing economic damage as Serral, at least more than what he's done. And now Clem already has a 5th base morphed to the planetary, so it's going to take a good amount of units to really harass and take that down. And that's just going to be another problem for Serral to worry about in this game, because now he has to compete with a 5-base Terran He has planetary set up. He's already got a push working up the right side of the map. Everything is in Clem's favor at the moment, it feels like. His upgrades are done as well, so it's 3-3 versus 2-2 for at least the next couple fights, another minute or so. His mains roll in, but obviously good splits back. So any fight Clem's taking right now seemingly is just nice and efficient. There is going to be a counterattack here, and well, he gets a Widow Mine and the Thor, and that combined is apparently enough to scare Serral away. Here come the Banes looking for Marine kills. In the end, they sell for a couple of Marauders, but those are expensive trade-offs, and they're not the trade-offs you're really looking for as Serral at the start of this. More Banes showing up, the Marines going down. Now we'll lift, now we'll leave, but the Medivacs might get caught by Mutalisks here, and for once, Clem doesn't have reinforcements showing up already. And this is where maybe Serral can turn it around a little bit. He starts to get every Medivac. There's only a few that will escape away. It's a big set of kills. It slows down what Clem's been working with, but once again, we've got a base that for now will be denied from being a planetary at least, but it is still something of a problem, I'd imagine. Lansan drops back to the right-hand side. 3-3. Melee upgrade's about to finish. The Chitinous plating on the way in the main. The SCVs went down in amongst all of this pressure, but you're losing 6 SCVs. Well, you've got 6 bases. You can rebuild those SCVs in an instant. And it's the whole mineral line clean out to just stopping mineral lines from mining by killing the bases. That's going to be the big plays for Serral right now. But the problem is you can't get those big plays because you barely have the army to defend with. Never mind going across the map to harass with. Those Widow Mines took an eternity to go off. Feels like they were targeted forever. That's the bio still pushing up. The Widow Mine shot nicely slid away from there. Serral's trying to minimize whatever damage he's taking. He sends the Mutas over to the right-hand side, apparently, is the next little play here. Runs into the left. Mutas get there. Medivac has to lift him back away. Still bio pushing through. Couple of Thors out the front. Ling Bang going to continue to roll into this. The bio army still splits back, and a lot of Banes just go down. And again, I think we just consistently have continued trade outs where there just is not going to be enough for Serral eventually. He's just running units in a couple at a time. Here come the Ultras to try save the day. Ultras that have Chitinous are just not quite going to be the full-on answer, the full-on save the day play, break the momentum of the Terror, not at all. Because I feel like this game is just a little bit too far gone. Mutas are flying into positions they can't really fight. Serral knows it's over. GG is called, and Clem is going to bring us to a Game 5. As mentioned, only 2 series they played this year out of 9 or so have not gone to an ace match. It started oh so well for Blue Zerg in the bottom left from NC Sports. It's Serral. And yet, here we are in a Game 5 anyway. As in the top right-hand side, our Red Terran player from Team Liquid. This is Clem. Why make Ultras at all anymore when Lurkers are pretty much better in any possible scenario ever? Because if you go into Lurkers off of Lingbane Muta, you're going to die. So basically, I mean, this is basically a question of why make... You can't say don't make Ultras, make Lurkers. Because if you're playing Lingbane Muta, you can't just make Lurkers. You don't have that transition available to you. So you have to play... If you want to play Lingbane Muta, which is a fine style, Ultras is the transition. Ultras is what helps you kind of stay alive. It's what helps you kind of hit another stage of the game. It forces the Terran to slow down a lot of their attacks. Last game, obviously, Serral's quite far behind. The Ultras don't really make it work, but you still got to try and go into them, because Lingbane Muta's not going to work in that scenario. The problem isn't with the Ultras, it's in the style of games that they play, right? And I think a lot of the time people look at Ultras and they're like, oh my god, what a terrible decision, they did nothing. But that's because the style that Ultras get used in is this style where you're basically throwing units away to try and take down economy, and sometimes that looks brilliant, and sometimes it just looks ridiculous, right? Because then you're like, oh my god, he's literally throwing units away and it got defended and you didn't do anything, right? But the reality is, like, sometimes that's just, like, it's so easy for it to look stupid when a little bit different. If they take down a base, then ultras look great, but nobody says, oh my god, he made the ultras, that was amazing. You know, you know what? No one gives credit to ultras when ultras do well. People only give credit to ultras when ultras don't do well. Yeah, you can't just go into lurkers off Lingbane meter. You don't have missile upgrades, you don't have a Hydra den, you don't have Hydra upgrades, so you can't support with Hydras. Lurkers are just not a pretty transition from that kind of point. And they take so long to get into. Whereas the ultras transition just way more naturally. They match the upgrades. Anyway, arguing about all of this, it might not even matter in game number 5. Serral starts up the Roach Roaring. Gets that started in the bottom corner. Here on Pillars of Gold. Factory is going to be finishing in just a few moments' time. And there's going to be a double gas at least from Clem. So he's moved away from the 3cc opener. I wonder if that's got something to do with how Serral wanted to set up right now. The thing is, Clem scouted. And he's actually just going to go straight into a bunker. Clem is just reading this series well, I think. As he is going to just be very cautious here. And he is just going to see the link speed. He's going to get the Reaper up. And he will have the bunker to defend. Like I said, I don't know what you really do right now as Serral. He's going to make some lings as well. But having to break through that bunker is not going to be easy. Let's see if he can do it. The good news is the Reaper is obviously at home. So you don't get confirmation that these roaches are on the way, so you don't know 100% for sure they're coming. Reaper runs out over the side. Now you see the roaches, and you see them in time to bring units back. The Reaper survives, which is good, because that just means extra damage inside of the bunker here. Extra couple of Hellions setting up. SCVs will be pre-pulled, and I just don't know how you break this. Now, with the SCVs pre-pulled, I think to break this, you need to show up as a bit of a surprise factor. Let's see. SCVs start up the repair. There's only a single Corrosive Bile initially. Now an extra Corrosive Bile goes down. Okay. Okay, the bunker is still surviving, though. 6 SCVs have fallen so far. Now you get up to 9 kills. I mean, maybe just the SCV kills are enough. You're 20 drones to 21 SCVs. Second bunker is here. Marines going to go from one bunker to the next, and obviously just going to focus on this. I love the grenade. Pop the units around a little bit. He's going to go back into the other bunker. Keep units alive as long as possible. Do we have any more units right now? There's a Banshee on the way. There's not really anything else on the low ground. Serral is still making units, by the way, as well. This Banshee is going to be the savior in the end. As we do have the depot going down, that will give access into the main. This mule just being allowed to mine. And it's actually going to be left alive still as Marines get chased. Banshee cannot come soon enough here from Clem. He's going to try and survive and buy as much time as possible. Minimize any SCV losses at the moment. He's still even on workers, so this is okay. If he can just start to get a cleanup, but it's not happening. The SCV count going down. Now you're on 13 SCVs. The Banshee pops out. You've got no Hellions left over. The Ravagers go down. There's 5 SCVs remaining. 3 SCVs remaining at one point there. The Natural Command Center has to lift. And you don't have a wall off some more lings into the main, and that's going to be the rest of your economy. And I think Serral is going to make it happen with this attack. 3-2 for Serral. Just gets a little bit aggressive all over again, and once more Clem kind of felt like he was going to get it there. I felt like he had a good setup. He had the bunker. He had the second bunker. The issue I would say with this is that this is going to be... So the issue you have with this build is that... Let's just rewind this quickly. The issue with this build is that obviously it hits very early. And typically these very early builds, you don't need to hold the low ground. You can typically hold the high ground instead. And the difference that makes is huge, because what happens is when you see this fight happen, while yes, there's a bunker up, etc., there's nothing protecting these Hellions. SCVs are out in the open. Imagine you just bunker up the high ground. Yeah, you lift up this CC, etc. But all of these units are choked up. The Lings are essentially useless, and it's just the Roach Ravager. So there's so much less damage output there. And when you're 30 SCVs to 20, you can absolutely go up to the high ground, wait for a Banshee, clean out, and then just go back to your natural, I think. The problem is here, you're already losing a lot of SCVs. The Lings are being useful in the entirety of this fight. The Hellions getting rid of a lot of Lings, yes, but that's kind of it. And you only have like 2 Marines and a Reaper, so it's not like the Roaches are taking any damage. And you only have so many SCVs, and that's the problem. You run out of SCVs to repair with in the end. And these Roaches just still aren't dying. This Roach became a Ravager as well. And again, imagine this is just happening on the high ground. These Lings don't do any damage. The SCV count can pull back and stay alive a lot more easily. I think you just have a better time buying time. And I tell you what as well, this Banshee didn't start forever. He's had this tech lab ready for about 10-15 seconds now. Banshee could have been much sooner. That might have made the difference as well. So just to look back a little bit there and to look into what may have happened a little bit differently to let Clem win this game. GG's though, Serral takes it 3-2. He's the victor.